Hello, friends, and welcome to the Bikes or Death podcast. As always, my name is Patrick, and I'm your host. And on today's episode, I got a chance to sit down with Alicia Danze and Hannah Simmons in a park right next to Lady Bird Lake there in Austin, Texas. This is part 3 of a 3-part East Texas Showdown podcasting extravaganza. This one and the 2 previous episodes were recorded in Austin on a whirlwind podcasting trip. It was, I literally interviewed 5 people in less than 20 hours, and that includes sleeping time. So, yeah, right after I finished up chatting with Katie McGuire from last week's episode, I ran over to another spot to meet up with Alicia and Hannah. And we had a nice little chat under the shade of a tree on a park bench right next to Lady Bird Lake. Hannah and Alicia were our winner of the East Texas Showdown route. They wound up riding almost the entire third day together, and whenever they rolled into the finish line, neither one of them wanted to outpace the other one or race the other one. They decided to roll in together, sharing that first place honor, and it was an honor to get an opportunity to catch up with them and hear their stories. I particularly enjoyed hearing how they approached the race and how that evolved as they got closer and closer, including their preparation and their planning and all of that. So I really enjoyed this one. Again, these 2 finishers, it was their first ever bikepacking race. I can't say it enough. I just think that it is so rad that we had so many first timers out there. I'm really glad that we could give so many people that opportunity to come out and ride their bikes for the first time in that manner, and can't wait to do it again. So while we're talking about the East Texas Showdown, let me just remind you that we have already went ahead and scheduled the dates for 2022. We are going to do it in the spring based on everybody's feedback. We're going to hold a spring edition. I don't know if we're going to do a fall one too. We'll just wing it, huh? Let's get through the first one first. But mark your calendar for April 1st through the 3rd. We're going to be doing it. Same route, still meeting at the Bullet Grill to start and finish the ride. But we are going to be making a couple changes to the format. If you want to stay up to date with information about the East Texas Showdown, there is a Facebook page and a Instagram page. So follow along at one of those so you can stay up to date with any relevant info as it comes out. All right, and before we get to today's episode, first off, let me just say that I'm sorry for getting out a day late. I am fresh off of a trip from Las Cruces, New Mexico. I was out there at the New Mexico Bikepacking Summit and the Danger Bird ride that was held on the subsequent days. There on the Monumental Loop route. It was a great trip. I took over 1,200 pictures. I recorded a podcast with Shell Money that's coming out next week, and had a great time. I'm going to be sharing a lot of pictures and stories and podcasts and all kinds of goodness about that event. But for now, I just want to say kudos to everybody in New Mexico. Kudos to Matt Mason for putting all that together. You know, if it wasn't for him building the route and putting it out there and putting in so much hard work, all of those riders, the government, everybody who got involved, it wouldn't even be possible if it wasn't for a route to host this event on. And it's a beautiful and a challenging route. But I mean, it's the desert. What do you expect, right? I mean, it's tough out there. It's wild. Shit ain't easy. You know what I'm saying? Just because you see some pictures on Instagram, tell you what, the reality of it is much different. That first day out there, there was a headwind that was legitimately 30 to 40 mile an hour gust and just really gnarly terrain. I was taking pictures at the top of some of these climbs with just the most massive headwind and just deep sand, big rocks, everything you can imagine, all the stuff that makes the Danger Bird so great. So appreciate everybody's hospitality out in Las Cruces, New Mexico. We are back in the saddle here in Texas, and rolling out some more goodness for you guys. Let's take a moment to thank our newest patrons that have kept the coffee and the whiskey flowing this week. Sure to appreciate that. Our shout outs go to Hank. You know, you could say his name a few different ways, his last name a few different ways, I think, but I'm going to go with Hank Dope, Dave Brink, and Matt Heckler. Thank y'all so much for keeping the coffee cup filled and the whiskey running. If you appreciate the work we're doing over here at Bikes for Death and you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee or a glass of whiskey at night to help soothe my pains, you can do that over at patreon.com/Bikes for Death. Even $1 a month means a lot, and I really do appreciate it. Okay, and today's episode is also made possible by Rockgeist Bike Pack USA. Rockgeist is a cottage gear company specializing in custom frame bags and welded waterproof gear. If you're looking to improve your bikepacking setup, looking for tailored gear, or searching for waterproof solutions, definitely reach out to them by visiting rockgeist.com. In addition to their custom work, they have a wide selection of universal gear that prioritizes stability for single track use. Most recently, they have released their super stable bar jam harness, which now uses locally machined brackets made in Asheville, North Carolina. Let me tell you about the bar jam. I've owned mine for 4 years. I believe it was the first Rockgeist purchase I ever made. It is the only harness that I use. I have put it to the test in every which way, and I've said it many times before to friends, but if you look at it, it may not look like it's super stable. It's very minimal, but I will tell you, it can handle a lot of weight. I've packed it up to go bike pack rafting and strapped on paddles and a bike raft and all kinds of stuff to it, and have never had an issue. So to check out that product and everything else they have over at Rockgeist, you can visit rockgeist.com or email them at bikepack@rockgeist.com to see their gear option and to get in touch with their team. And a reminder that patrons of this show get free shipping from Rockgeist and a free Bikes for Death patch sewn on at the factory. So just keep that in mind next time you're looking for some bike packing bags. All right, everybody, that's it. We did it. Now it is time for Miles Arbor to kick it off with the Bikes for Death theme song.
You load up your bike, you ride away from home. You could be with your friends or you could be alone. You ride for a day or maybe more. You just love being in the great outdoors. Everything you need is strapped to your bars, including that new pillow you got from Santa Claus. And then you think, oh shit, to yourself. You left that super lightweight tent on the living room shelf. Bikes or death. Bikes or death. Podcast.
So happy birthday, Hannah.
Hey, thanks.
24 years old.
Yeah.
World is your oyster.
Yeah. Got a lot more to go, I guess.
What are you doing? Just working at the bike shop? Planning to take over the world one bike repair at a time?
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I'm told I should do it. Start with bikes, right? I work there full time now. Like Alicia said, I'm the manager at the shop. Been managing for a year and a half. Been there for 3. Graduated college last year in the middle of the pandemic and just decided to stick around.
What did you graduate with?
Environmental science and photojournalism.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
What would you like to do with that?
Someday,
if anything.
Yeah, I'd love to be a photojournalist and cover environmental topics.
Oh, wow. That's so cool. Can you give an example of one that you'd like to cover?
You know, I have been thinking more and more about staying around like more locally, because for a long time, like I have wanted to be a photojournalist since I was 12. So I wanted to travel a lot with it. But then I thought about how much is going on just like in our own backyard. And so there's a lot of things. Houston's a good example where there's a lot of like industrial waste that's going into people's homes and water. And I had a friend who did a really good story over that. And he shoots for the New York Times. So following his work a lot. His name's Tamir Khalifa. He's great. Yeah, Alicia knows him too. He also rides bikes. But yeah, just anything that affects us directly.
How do you get a job? Is there freelance work available?
There is. It's a whole world to step into, and it's a lot of like networking and selling yourself. But I think I'll probably start out by just going out and shooting things that I think are important. There's a lot of like community gardens around Austin, so I've been thinking about doing some coverage on those types of things, and then you just pitch it to somebody.
Right. So you can go out and actually like take the pictures, create the article, and then kind of sell it.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
I love through Bikes for Death. I've gotten into photography a lot more and wanting to like tell the story through, I guess not photojournalism, but just photography of like telling a story, and it's fascinating. It's really hard too.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize. So you're a legit photographer.
Yes.
They
yes.
as photojournalism school, do they teach you how to take pictures too?
Yes and no. So they've got entry-level classes that they teach you just your way around a camera. I learned when I was in high school, so I had already gotten the like kind of technical skills for like how to read light and what settings to have and how to manipulate a photo to make it look the way you want to. And then most of the like upper division courses are like how to tell the story and perspective and figure out what story is yours to tell, and then also study lots of famous people who have done a lot of important work.
Are you an Austin native?
I am not. I'm from North Texas, Bedford.
Bedford, okay. What about you, Alicia?
I'm from Dallas, actually.
Oh, so y'all both up from up north a little bit. What brought you to Austin?
I came to Austin to go to grad school, and I've been here for a long time. For me, it feels like a long time. Going on my seventh year in school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what are you studying?
I'm studying immigration court. Yeah, so how folks who don't have an attorney, how they're able to navigate, or how the difficulties in navigating immigration court right now, and looking at courts in Texas in particular.
So you graduate with that, and then you hope to like go work in that field, I assume? Or?
Yeah, so some kind of legal advocacy work I think would be awesome, but I'm pretty open. So
will you be an attorney?
No,
Okay.
I'll be currently an academic trajectory. So PhD usually ends up in teaching or continuing research, but I would be fine working at any organization that does advocacy work.
You're like, hire me.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was just talking to Katie McGuire, and she was like, I'll send this podcast to potential employers. She's on the job hunt right now, too. So are you at that stage where you're starting to look for a job?
I should be. Yeah, that's what I should be doing right now. But instead, I'm riding bikes. But yeah, it's on the horizon for sure. Yeah. Kind of in love with this part of the state, though. So
yeah,
it would be awesome to stick around Central Texas. If that's in the cards, I'd take it.
Yeah, I was about to ask if you'd like to stay in this area. I really like Austin. I just don't like the heat. What do y'all do during the summer here? Oh, well, we're right next to Lady Bird Lake. So is that kind of the move here?
Yeah, it's one of the spots. I think we have a few. We have a few secret swimming holes. There's the ones that everybody knows about, but then there's like side spots.
More underground type stuff,
Yeah.
Not actually underground, but
whose palm do I have to grease to get those spots?
Alicia's the one that would know.
Yeah,
I just follow her everywhere.
I'll hand them over to you.
Did we go to one whenever we went swimming that one time with Cynthia?
Yeah, actually, that was a good one.
Yeah.
It's like downstream of the river, so no one wants to swim down there because it's like after it's passed through the entire city. But I think it's great. It's pretty sunsets.
Yeah. So what kind of riding do y'all like to do in and around Austin traditionally? I mean, we just obviously got down. Y'all are obviously hardcore ultra endurance athletes, no doubt about it.
Very serious.
Very serious. Hannah's in flip-flops taking pictures. Yeah, that picture on the front of bike, y'all made the first image on bikepacking.com. So it's always great because we just send them the pictures and then they pick what they want. And so it's fun to see how they build the story or whatever. And I like that they use that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the one with my feet out.
Oh, yeah. That was the vibe.
That was
of
the
our
last-
ride.
Yeah.
The vibe
Every
of a
time
ride.
we ran into Maxwell, I was like, I got to come up with a new pose. And that was the final pose that I rolled by him. I said, I've got nothing else. Can't see you again.
That probably might have been the most painful pose at that point.
I know.
All
the
points.
pressure right there on the saddle.
No relief. You're like, I can take it.
I thought about it looking at you. I was like,
That's what I was thinking when I saw your legs up. I was like, I bet that hurt. Made a good picture though.
Yeah.
That's a true photographer right there. Sacrifice anything for the image.
Right?
It's true.
So what kind of riding did y'all do around Austin here?
I feel like we were just talking about this. We have some super regular rides that we do that are almost like weekly routine now, and they
Right.
vary quite a bit. So there's like a Tuesday road hill ride that's pretty aggressive.
Tear down.
Yeah, the tear down.
Okay, so I was talking to Kyle and
Uh-huh.
Nick last night.
Yeah, they're
and-
also regulars.
Okay, yeah. All right. Y'all are on the same routine.
Yeah, pretty much with those guys at least. And then you do a ride on Thursdays.
Yeah. There's a trails ride that leaves from Eastside Pedal Pushers that they go pretty much every Thursday. And we go do Eastside trails that are off of the Walnut Creek Trail.
Mhm. They're all bandit trails.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's kind of like flowy, crossy stuff. And then you've got a couple of logs to jump and stuff. Logs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Fallen trees. But yeah, it's good to get that variety and have like the Tuesday, Thursday thing. And,
Mhm.
you know, I bike to work too, which is not saying much. I live a half mile from the shop. So just roll down the hill. But we've been talking how we want to do more mountain biking specifically.
Yeah.
So-
And there are surprisingly a number of mountain biking spots around town that are also, we have friends who like any green space, they'll like put a trail
Yeah.
through there. So,
Can we talk about it? I know it happens.
well, yeah. I mean, it's kind
Only
of
say what you want to say.
a little stealth.
I know there's road
I think
trails.
The fun part is finding them. So I think it's fun just like leaving hints out there, just knowing like, yeah, they're around. Like just look around the east side, look between the bushes, and all of a sudden you'll see a line
Yeah.
darting into the darkness of the woods. And if you follow it, then odds are you'll wind around something cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I find most of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you could almost get lost in the maze of trail networks. I mean, you could easily get lost. I've gotten lost.
Oh yeah.
Actually, in that section wherever we got lost there recently, in that same spot where we met up with y'all
Uh-huh.
before we
In
went
Roche.
swimming, and that like I was riding around. I went in a damn circle. I went to that spot. And I thought I was going, and I kept riding. I come back, I'm like, fuck, I'm back here again. It's like a vortex that keeps sucking me in. But yeah, there's a lot of trails just like everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So get into mountain biking for fitness, for fun, for convenience.
For fun. For me, would be the end of road racing, which is ending like this month. So it would be better time to just do something different. Sick of pavement
Just the season.
crits.
The end of the season. Yeah, exactly.
I do. Let's talk about that because you race on ultraviolet, right?
Yes, yeah.
So what is the designation? You're like a semi-professional.
Oh, hardly.
What do they call it?
You know, it's funny. There are people on our team who are like have been pro racers and they've raced with pro teams. So I'd say there's a spectrum of levels. So some of us are more intermediate. I fit that category. And then others are like more, they're traveling to USA crits across the country. And yeah, so I don't know. I guess that puts them like, what do they call that? Domestic elite racers?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Something to do
So
with
far
sponsorship.
outside of the. Yeah. Well, you at least rub shoulders with them. Like I've never even. I don't.
Oh, yeah. Well,
We don't have the same cycling culture in Bryan College Station y'all have here. I mean, the nice thing about Austin is that cycling is rich here. You know, I mean, there's any kind of cycling you want to do, any kind of group you want to get into. There's a lot of diversity here.
That's something I kind of noticed just chatting with people who had like shown up for the East Texas Showdown was people coming from Houston and Dallas and other places and talking with them about like their cycling cultures in other cities. And I feel like ours, I mean, I feel pretty embedded in it. But I do think that it's pretty well integrated. Like I think everybody knows everybody kind of thing
here in Austin.
here in Austin versus like
Yeah.
I hear other places. I know Houston's like a giant city, but it sounds like they've got like kind of things sectioned off a little bit.
Yeah, it seems a bit more fragmented.
Yeah.
I can't speak to other Texas cities. but-
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does seem more cohesive here.
Mhm.
And I'm only an outsider, but I've interviewed I come to Austin quite a bit for interviews, and it's like, oh, I know her. And I was interviewing Katie, and she knows Jessica Alexander, and then like Jessica, I don't know, like everybody knows
we
everybody
know
here.
yeah,
It's
we
like,
all know each other.
and
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
either drawn to all the exact same people that know each other, but it just seems like there's a pretty nice cohesive cycling community here, which is great. And like you mentioned, the East Texas Showdown, I love seeing the diversity of all the different kinds of approaches to the race, the way you're going to ride it, the spirit with which you were going to ride it, whether you were going to like go fast and suffer, whether you're going to like try to make it the best experience you could and just kind of have fun. So that's a good segue into what was y'all's approach to it?
My introduction to cycling was a really long but supported tour from Austin to Anchorage. And so I had done a lot of long days on a bike.
Anchorage what?
Alaska.
Excuse me?
Yeah. So that's how I started cycling, was doing that. It's called Texas 4000. It's a thing that UT students do. Yeah, it's cool. I'll have to tell
How
you
am I
about that.
never heard of I don't understand why I've never heard of this. But this is a thing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah,
tell me
yeah.
about it.
So it's a nonprofit that works with UT students to raise money for cancer research, and they do a summer ride every year that goes from Austin to Anchorage, and there's like 3 different routes. There's 4 different routes now, but during my year in 2018 when I did it, yeah, it's a 70-day ride. You get up and ride almost every day. You have rest days every once in a while, and you just like stay at places along the way.
All road?
All road, yeah.
Was it pretty safe or was it pretty sketch?
Safe in some places, less safe in others, like I would never want to ride my bike through Jackson, Mississippi again, but there are other spots that like for some reason Wisconsin was like all trail, like just really crushed gravel trails that we didn't have to see any cars the whole time. So, but yeah, that was kind of how I started really riding bikes. I knew how to ride a bike, but I hadn't done it nearly anything like that before. So
how in the hell did you get talked into doing 4,000 miles?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a massive undertaking. So who talked you into that?
It was, so like I said, it's for cancer research. So a lot of times you've got somebody that, I feel like everybody at least knows someone who's been affected by cancer. And I have an uncle who died of lung cancer. And so I wanted to do it for him. And it's kind of one of those things like, when somebody's going through something and you can't really like tangibly do anything for them, it was nice that even after he had died, I could be like, oh, I'm going to do this thing for Uncle Al and like go ride my bike for a really long time. And it changed the trajectory of my life entirely. So I'm very grateful for it.
Did you like fall in love with cycling through that experience?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Were you in a group?
Yes. Yeah. You have a team. I think there were 21 of us that did it all together. And you do have a SAG vehicle. So we were not like packed down or anything. But yeah, the average mileage per day was like 90 miles. So
did you train for it or did you just wing it?
Yeah,
Okay.
they've got requirements for training and everything too. So
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, it was
through the
cool.
university?
Mm-hmm. Well, kind
See
of.
what I'm saying? We don't have that in College Station.
Yeah. Yeah, my sister's an Aggie, so. But yeah, so anyway, I mostly just have the background of a lot of days in a row of being on a bike. And so whenever Alicia reached out to me and was like, hey, want to do this crazy thing? I was like, yeah, I think I could probably pull that off. We could make it work. It's more, I think, mostly like a mind game when you get to a certain point. You just have to keep yourself up enough to not stop pedaling.
It definitely is a mind game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just becomes an endurance sport in your mind, mostly
Right.
overcoming pain and everything. It's like it's all just in your head, most of it. It's what it seems like, at least.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's actually real pain.
Yeah, I felt a bit of both.
Sometimes it's real, but you get your brain is like, stop. You want to stop? Oh, I bet stopping would be nice.
Oh, for sure.
And then it's that mental game of just like, keeping pushing on. So how did y'all train? Did y'all train together?
Well, I feel like we separately maybe did some long gravel rides. The training for this was, on my part, I was just doing these hard but short rides throughout the week that I normally do. So like this hard hill ride, I would race a crit on Thursday and then do a longer ride on Saturday. But none of it was like loaded up. Didn't do many gravel rides. Wasn't practicing the length or any overnighters, and probably could have done that. That would have been smart.
You didn't do any overnighters?
No.
Oh, wow. What about you?
We
No?
just jumped in.
No, I really didn't. I hadn't until until the Thursday before the Friday that we actually started the race, I hadn't put any of my bags on my bike yet.
Yeah.
I had gotten this bike packing setup from Roadrunner, and I was like really excited because all the matching bags and everything, and I had never used any of them. And so I packed it down on Thursday. I was like, this will probably work just fine.
Yeah.
Like Thursday, 24 hours before?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I think I started a few days earlier than that, like saddling up my bike and then riding it around town, just making sure it didn't rub. But,
Yeah.
This
But
is wonderful.
Yeah. We probably could have. Yeah. As I was researching, and the research started late, I had never done a bike packing event. I've bike packed and I've done gravel races and other
Right.
long distance. But when I was researching how to do like long distance endurance bike packing, self-supported, yeah, they definitely say test out your equipment, give it a day or two, like do a 2 or 3 overnighter and all that stuff. And it makes sense now.
Yeah.
That's
Which we did that when we
that's
did the
ideal.
showdown. you
Yeah,
know?
Yeah, you tested
there
it.
we go.
that was your test. So y'all both had some bike packing, camping outside experience prior to this. So it wasn't like too crazy
Totally.
to just go.
I've done a few tours, yeah, both by myself and maybe with somebody else. And I mean, and those have had like stressful moments where you are racing at least the sun to get to wherever you need to go. But yeah, this is a whole other type of pressure when you're like questioning how much sleep I should get and like trying to plan to not pack or not pack certain food or different.
Well, what were your expectations or hopes going into it? Like, did y'all did y'all want to ride it together the whole time, or did you each have your individual goals? Because for people who don't know, y'all finished at the same time and shared first place on the showdown. Holla. Yeah. So y'all wound up riding the whole time. Was that the plan?
I don't think it was the plan. I was prepared for like all of us because we came with a few friends, Nick and Kyle. I was like, well, we'll probably all get split up. So I hope we all have the map and I'm down to like tell people this is where I'm planning on sleeping,
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't think it was anticipated that we'd end up together.
Yeah, I definitely went into it self-identifying as the slowest in the pack, which, when you're doing that many miles, I feel like it all evens out a little bit, right? Because maybe like the first day I didn't stop until like mile 89 or 90. And so I was going the whole time. And then Kyle and Alicia would have like a stop that I didn't do. So I'd catch up to them in a way. And I just went into it kind of anticipating doing the whole thing on my own. And then it ended up that we were only like a few minutes apart from one another, which like when you're riding a bike and somebody's 5 minutes ahead of you, you don't know that they're 5 minutes ahead of you. You don't know where they are.
Right. Yeah.
And I asked a couple of passersby and they were like, oh yeah, they're right there. And then I passed a couple of other people who were doing the ride and they were like, oh, they're gone. It's like 45 minutes away on the second day. So anyway.
Yeah, there were moments where we were probably spread out. I was spread out from Hannah and Kyle was ahead of me by 5 minutes. But we had no sense of where the other person was. And so it felt like we could be forever apart.
What about personal goals in terms of where you want to go fast, where you want to just finish it? What were your goals?
My goals changed the closer we got to the race and the more I talked to people. I think at first when I signed up, I thought, this is going to be great. It's going to be a beautiful route. I'm going to bike pack with my friends.
Yeah.
We're going to chill. And then the closer we got to the race, the more excited I got listening to everybody's plan to sleep like 2 hours. And I was like, oh gosh, like if that's how we're going to do this, then I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to try and push the limits of what So I think closer to race time, I got more ambitious with what was possible.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And then our brakes went out.
And then on day one, then our brakes went out.
So, all right, what did you have like, okay, I want to go this many miles. I only want to sleep. Okay, break it down.
Yeah, day one, I was convinced. Thought since we're starting at 8 a.m., that's kind of a late start. I would want to do 137 miles, get to Elkhart, or 147, which was a little bit beyond that. I thought that was reasonable for me because the highest number of miles I've ever done in a day up till now was 150. So I was like, okay, loaded up on gravel.
Yeah.
It's going to be harder. And then day two, I thought 170 miles, maybe 180 would be cool. And then finishing out with like, I was hoping to finish out the third day with under 100.
Right.
Yeah.
Have like kind of a nice, easy day.
Yeah, exactly.
Quote unquote.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And it didn't work out that way, but those were the goals, and they were probably overshooting a little bit. But that was kind of good to do that.
I don't know because the weather was such a factor. You know, like if it hadn't have rained, that first 150 miles probably would have been a lot easier because you made it to 120. You camped at Salmon Lake.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So,
that's where we camped.
Yeah. I mean, another 30 miles. Yeah, you'd probably do that if it wasn't raining and pushing through.
We had pushed, we literally had to push our bikes through mud and stuff for some of those miles. So we're like a little bit more physically exhausted than we would have been.
And even if you're riding, you're still putting out more watts, bro.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Totally.
pushing through that sand.
Yeah, that was a factor. So by sunset, I think also we could have kept riding that night, the first night, but someone in our group that we'd come up along with some other riders, and they mentioned getting some food. So we did that. We got a sit-down meal. And then after that, they mentioned they were staying at a place with hot showers. And that kind of decided where we were going to sleep that night.
I saw the light in Alicia's eyes. And where's the shower?
And that's the mental fortitude part that maybe I'm like a little bit lacking more so, which is like if there's food or showers, I'm like more inclined to stop and then push hard the next day. So like keep pace up, but take some stops.
Yeah. My approach would have been to stop there at mile 120, kind of write day one off, get some good food, get a shower, because the weather turned out to be pretty good going forward, and then like push after that and like, okay, now let's see what I can do. What were your goals going into it?
Yeah, I didn't do a lot of reading. I know you sent us lots of emails, and I read the ones that Alicia told me to. And I was unaware that the start time was at 8 a.m. And so I had this like big goal. I'd found a spot with a cemetery and a church at mile 157. And I was like, we're going to get there on the first day. Or like I say we. I'm talking about me, I guess. I was like, I'm going to get there.
Me and my bike.
Me and my bike and all my stuff. And that was my goal. And I was talking to Nick about it the day before. And I was like, yeah, this is where I want to get to. And he was like, really? Before the sun goes down? And I was like, yeah. He said, well, we're starting at 8. And I was like, oh, no. I didn't know if the start time was going to be like 6 or, you know, as soon as the sun comes up or whenever you get to. But so it kind of, that was the only real plan I had. And then that didn't work out, of course. And I just knew that when I tell myself I'm going to do something, I just do it. And I wasn't really concerned with going fast necessarily. I did realize pretty quickly once we were out there that, especially like loaded down and the roads we were going through, that it would come down to just literally like every amount of time, like every bit of sun you have, you've got to be riding. And so that was one moment I had while I was riding along. I was like, man, really all the time you have is to ride your bike and then sleep through the part that you don't feel safe riding, just because, like I mentioned with the brake situation, you're flying down a gravel road in the dark with no brakes. You're not really sure how it's going to go. So yeah, it changed from wanting to front load and like really do a lot of miles on the first day to then just like getting through the first rainy, nasty day and then planning it to where it's just possible to get through the rest.
How did y'all mentally handle day one? I mean, it started raining very early on in the day. We started in the rain, and it just drenched y'all for a solid 8 hours, which is demoralizing. How did y'all mentally handle that?
I was pretty excited all the first day. I felt like hyped.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that was, the rain didn't get me down immediately. And once you're all wet, you're like, it doesn't matter anymore. And
it wasn't cold. So,
no, it didn't feel bad. I wasn't uncomfortable. And so it wasn't until that night when you pull everything out of your bag and you're like, my clothes for tomorrow are soaking wet. And like, that was more. And then, so the next day was more when I think the disappointment of the rain set in. I was realizing how it had affected things. But from go at the start line, I was having a great time that whole first day.
That's
even
awesome.
pushing the bike through stuff.
Yeah.
And everybody's kind of, grumbling, but I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just playing in the rain with your bike.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
It was kind of nice.
if you were an 8-year-old kid, you'd live for that
Oh,
shit,
for
you
sure.
know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mud flying. You look at your face, you're covered in
Yeah,
mud.
like,
It's
I'm so
cool.
happy. Dirty doing it. My
Good.
Tivas actually made sense the first day.
What'd you say?
I said my Tivas made
Oh.
sense the first
Yeah,
day.
that was a gamble. Everyone was like,
Yeah.
"Are you doing clip-in shoes? You
Yeah.
gonna wear sandals?"
Sandals or clip-ins?
Yeah, for the rain.
So this was a debate amongst many of y'all as to which. Okay, so you and Nick did sandals.
Yeah, and then
Where-
Kyle and I clipped in. And
Okay, let's talk about this then. I know where Nick landed. Where do you think sandals, yes or no, next time?
Well, with the forecast beforehand saying rain every day, I was committed to Tivas. Also, the absurdity of riding 380 miles in Tivas really got me laughing at it. But
You just wanted to do it.
I regretted it. My Achilles are both pretty upset with me now.
That's exactly what Nick said.
Yeah, exactly.
Is his
So-
Achilles are
Well, and I
bummed.
hadn't ever ridden. That was the joke. We were like lining up to start, and everybody was noticing my Tiva choice. And one of the guys said something about like, "Oh, do you ride in sandals a lot?" And I was like, "I've ridden like 10 miles in them." So he was like, "All right, just multiply that 30 times, and you'll be fine." Yeah. So ultimately regretted it. But
what did you regret about it? They just didn't have the support. Your feet were rubbing raw. Like I've never ridden in sandals. It sounds scary.
yeah. Well, honestly, it wasn't necessarily uncomfortable. I actually didn't end up with any sores or anything. I was really trying to avoid swamp foot was the main issue. And I did that. But the not having the pull on the second half of your pedal, when you can pull up and utilize that hamstring, especially through a bunch of the sand too, I just didn't have the power that I normally have while riding. And so that was tough. And then it was just I was using the same set of muscles the whole time, just kind of mashing, versus being able to kind of switch off. And
That's been one of my curiosities. I know a lot of people, I ride clipped in, and I recently converted my single speed to flat pedals, and it's the first one since I was a kid with a BMX bike. But I'm curious how it would do over a long distance because you're eliminating that hamstring muscle. Like you said, it's well, I got this muscle, but I'm not using it. So it's interesting.
yeah.
All right, clipped in. How do you think, Alicia? Was that the way to go?
that was the way to go. Just based on what Hannah was telling me as we were riding, and she, we were telling each other the things that ached and hurt, and her knees were hurting, and mine didn't. So I was like, oh, well, yeah. And the shoes drained pretty well. They were pretty swampy on day one, but after that, they were fine. So, yeah, that was okay. And I guess the other thing, though, the advantage of the Tivas was when we had to brake, Hannah had a lot of rubber cushioning to just to rub on the pavement or the gravel roads to stop.
To just drag
So
my foot and
yeah,
stop.
and I felt a little guilty, putting my nice clip-in shoe down and trying to come to a halt.
Yeah.
So what happened with both of your brakes? I mean,
Yeah, so both of our bikes are disc brake bikes, and I have mechanical, and Alicia has hydraulic. And so for me, I mean, my brake pads were probably about halfway through anyway. But the first day with all of the dirt and mud, when that gets caught up in there with your brake, and then also caught on into your rotor, it just eats away your brake pad. And so you have no more pad left. And in my case, I could just tighten up the cable and it would just be metal on metal, which I tried really hard to avoid because I wasn't trying to get all new pads and rotors at the end of it. And I was like, well, I got the Tivas, so we'll sacrifice Tivas or new rotors. So, but then in Alicia's case with her hydraulic brakes, it was the pistons that actually push the brake pads together had gotten seized by all the mud and dirt and nastiness. So the first night I tried to do a little bit of recovery on them, tried to pump them back into place. And she did have a little bit more brake pad left, but it's mostly just Alicia has done some gnarly, when Mid-South was really disgusting and had to take her bike to the shop afterwards. And it was we're going to try to prevent as much damage as possible.
Gets expensive.
It gets expensive. Yeah.
Free race.
You think you sign up for a $70 race or whatever, and then it's $500 to replace everything.
Yeah, somebody posted on Facebook. The race was free, but he had a big surly dummy that he had taken to the bike shop and loaded it up. And it was him and his wife. It was John and Allison, a couple that were out there riding. And he brought back all kinds of fucking, parts for their bikes. I'm going to need to get some commission off all these bike part sales, though.
Yeah. Well, you should have some vendor come out and just have like brake pads and chain lube and like chains and wipes or,
Just some basics. We will.
Yeah.
Learned a lot this first time. It was a lot of fun.
Totally.
Oh, we did too. For sure.
Yes.
Considering how many people, this was their first bikepacking race.
Yeah, I really love that about this event.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping for, is that it would attract. I hope that it'll attract, the fast people that want to go without sleep and like really push it, because it's that cool distance that allows that, but also people that want to do it for the first time or the second time or whatever, and we all can hang out together. And we got mostly first timers, which is the first start. Leah Wilcox said, did you see she commented? Yeah.
Did she say she's coming next time?
She was supposed to come this time. She was supposed to come this first time, but she got another offer for Switzerland, and I think she chose Switzerland over East Texas. So.
I thought East Texas was pretty remarkably gorgeous, so could maybe not give Switzerland a run for its money, but it's a destination. I think I told my friends afterwards, like, hey, Big Bend is cool, but we should all be going to East Texas too.
Hell
afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, major props on that route.
Oh, the route was great.
Great.
Tell me.
Yeah.
I lay it on. Hold out no detail, please.
Right?
I am very eager to know what y'all's experience was, what you thought about it, especially since you live in Texas and you kind of know what it's like here.
Yeah, around here we ride gravel around Lockhart quite a bit. So that's like, southeast of Austin, just east of San Marcos. And then you could go out west into the hill country, and it's a drier climate out there. It's nice. But I thought the amount of gravel that we had out on this route was a lot. And the woods, the shade, that was so nice. The green, we're not used to seeing so much green in Austin.
Yeah.
And the rain was a really cool effect. So you'd see these rolling green hills, and it was misty. And also seeing it at different times of day was really cool.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I felt like I was in Tennessee or something. The rolling hills, and it was so lush and swampy. Kind of, yeah.
Well, yeah, that second day we had stopped, and Kyle had talked about he wanted to keep going through the night, and he was going to do another like 60 miles.
Trying to get to 200.
Trying to get to 200, exactly. And there was a moment where I thought about going with him, and then one of the like deciding factors is like, I'm not gonna be able to see anything, and that's gonna be like 60 miles that I'll miss of like all of the beauty that we've gotten to see going through here. So I was glad that I had decided to do it in the daytime with Alicia.
It was pretty varied too. So it's like farmland,
National forest,
yeah, beautiful buildings, old buildings, yeah.
The little towns that you go in.
Yeah, the towns were great. I do wish we saw more of them than the Valero gas stations.
Yeah, you get to a certain point where you're like, I just need the essentials and I gotta go. And like,
where's the Gatorade and out?
Yeah. Well, that's what I think I guess I'll say when I do it again, I'd want to do the slowdown so that I would have the time to stop and like Mabel and go to their little trading post, like, because I think that's part of the like magic of it is when you get to ride a bike, you're slowed down enough that you see all of the little things that you miss when you're in other forms of transportation. And so it was like nice to have that time, and didn't feel like I necessarily had that time with the amount of mileage we had to do.
I like that you said that, and I hope that more people will approach this event more as like an experience or an opportunity rather than a race. Like the route is there if you want to race it and go fast, but I call it slow down for a reason, so that if you want to just like kind of chill and like take it easy and like enjoy the experience, but then we all meet back at the Bullet and hang out, then I don't know. That to me is like the most ideal thing, where like if you want to chill you can, if you want to go fast you can, you want to wear sandals you can, like whatever you want to do.
Speaking of, man, that Bullet Grill, shout out. They were all so nice. And they let us sleep under their patio the first night when it was pouring rain.
Yeah.
They were all really great. I thought they were great hosts.
Oh man, they are awesome. It's so crazy because I went in to pitch this idea to them,
Mm-hmm.
like 8 months ago, and you never know how someone's gonna like take it, or even so I had to like take the route. I took like a whole presentation, like pictures and everything, and I'm like tried to like lay out what we're gonna be doing, and he like agreed to it, and then nothing but ultimate support from the very beginning to the very end. Like they poured extra gravel so they'd have more parking spaces for us. They paid for all the live music. They paid for the porta potties to come in.
Oh yeah, those were a lifesaver.
And I don't know if y'all heard this, but next they're putting in a shower, an outdoor shower.
I was about to ask. We used the
Yes.
hose
I
in
saw.
the back.
Yeah.
The
I went to go-
hose was
I
great.
know, I saw you
I was
by. I
grateful
was
for
like,
the
oh,
hose.
I'm so sorry.
Oh no,
Yeah.
you're fine. Y'all had your clothes. You had most of your clothes on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
yeah,
figured.
yeah.
I just I saw you walk by and I was like, well, whoops, sorry about that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
after-
but afterward, like that's the only thing that I think was missing is if everybody could just take a hot shower afterwards.
I would have probably gone a couple miles per hour faster if I knew there was a shower right there at the finish
Right?
line.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
were relying on Kyle and Nick, who finished like hours earlier than us. We're like, they'll find showers, right? And then we
That really got us to the end.
we
It's
came back
just-
and they were like, oh no.
Yeah,
Just
just a
fell
dream
off.
of a shower.
So what did y'all do for a shower?
No, I mean it was that hose bath.
That
was
until when? Until
till we got home.
So we
Yeah.
get back, right? And we rolled in around like 5:30
Mhm.
in the evening, and Kyle and Nick were already there, of course. And it was actually funny. They were telling us that when they rolled in, it was like the middle of the day and nobody had shown up yet, and so they didn't. But when we rolled up, there were like 10 of y'all all happy to see us. It was really nice. And then we, had the little awards ceremony. We were hanging out for a little bit longer. It's like 10 p.m. and Alicia comes up to me. She goes, I just want to be home. I just want to go home. And she's like practically falling asleep standing up. And I'm like, we could do that, but that's a 3-hour drive. And so, Nick and Kyle are both like, I mean, that sounds really nice, but also how are we gonna do that?
yeah,
We ended up driving home. We ended up doing it. We
that's
like
what I heard.
caravanned it.
Yeah, caravan all the way back.
Yeah.
all the way back.
Yeah.
And-
Who did y'all drive together?
Yes, thank goodness. Hannah drove the whole way.
Yeah.
I was incapable of.
She really
driving.
wanted to, and I said, "Well, I'm in the car, so I'm gonna drive." Was grateful for it. When I woke up Monday morning, I was like, "Oh, I'm so glad I'm in my bed."
Yeah,
Oh, I
I'm not
know.
a night person.
Yeah.
And that kind of showed up it was cool to see in our race too, because some of us, like, I feel like you and Kyle were both like, awake at night, and
Mhm.
you were down to keep going. And I was
Mhm.
kind of like, this is kind of where I stop.
Yeah,
This
and
is
then
it.
the next morning, she's like gunning it, and I'm like, "Oh no!"
Morning person. Yeah.
There she goes.
I'm gonna side with Hannah and Kyle on this one.
Yeah.
I am not. That's why Kyle and Nick didn't have anyone there to greet him because I was sleeping because I came too early in the morning.
Yeah.
I stayed up till 3 or 3:30
Wow.
that night before, like welcoming people in. I was trying to
Yeah.
get everybody. That was my goal.
Right.
But I had stayed up the night before too. So I was like just tired. I fell asleep and I slept longer than I meant to.
I thought it was cool hearing about everybody's kind of rapport on the course. Like, you'd make friends as you go, and you'd even like use people for emotional support, or you trade equipment and stuff. But then there came a decision point for almost everybody where they're like, okay, so do I keep riding with this person, or do I like take the next moment that they're in the bathroom and just peel off?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, Alicia looked at me. I think it was after we had passed y'all, and it was that last little loop, and she was like, "So are we gonna like gun it to the finish, or are we gonna ride in together, or what do you want to do?" And I was like, I have
Okay. Let's set this
no
up a little
interest.
bit.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
on the route, I'm calling it the death loop officially. So you have to pass by the bullet, bash your car, past all your friends, and ride an extra 40 miles back to the Bullet Grill,
Yeah.
which can be a little demoralizing. So y'all came through there at the exact same time.
Yeah.
We're cheering for y'all,
Yeah.
but y'all are both in first place, and y'all had to make a decision about what was going to
Yeah.
happen.
Do.
In my head, though, it was already pretty solidly decided. It was like, I would not be here without Hannah. Seriously, like fixing my brakes and, all that stuff. So, and I was also not, I didn't know if you wanted to like gun it. I didn't want to take that away.
Right. It's like, if you want it, go ahead.
Yeah, or if you
Right.
want it, I'll go at it with you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, when you asked, I hadn't even thought about it. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna roll in together because we did pretty much the whole last day together, and she pulled me through some shit that last day for sure, and so I felt the same way. I was like, yeah, we did this together. We're gonna finish it together.
Yeah.
But even my sister looked at the tracker, and I guess my tracker was a couple seconds before yours. So she was like, oh, did you beat her? And I was like, no, Ames, I rode the whole thing with her. Like, it wasn't like that.
It gets to be, I feel like it must be hard, especially when I was talking to Alex and I didn't talk to Dave, but talking about their back and forth because they were together almost the whole time.
Yeah.
Were those the two that got first?
Single
The
speeds.
first,
yeah.
the
single
first
speed.
place.
Dang. Yeah,
They were
that's-
both on single speed, and they both took first. They had the same story as y'all had in the women's showdown. They had in the men's showdown. Yeah.
Yeah. Which we had heard about by the time, yeah. So we were like, well, if Patrick's cool, then we're just going to also be double first.
But
I
once
don't
you
know
do
how
the
else
death
to,
loop,
how do
yeah.
other people do it? It's like first and second. Like, I don't even know what you would do.
I guess if there's a decent gap, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so then you'd have to make the gap happen
Or a major
earlier.
prize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a major prize.
Yeah.
Maybe that would do it.
No major prizes.
Tell everybody next year there's only one person can get first. And
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I might have to
liked
spice
this,
it up.
though. I liked it because it felt appropriate to after riding that whole course. Like you just want to getting to the finish line was victory. So
Yeah. Well, I can imagine if y'all rode so much together and you supported each other so much together that you want to finish together, and it's only right that you like share that experience. Like
Yeah.
not one person should have that experience. I
Right.
don't think.
I wouldn't have been able to get through the dark sections without Hannah for sure.
Ooh.
Like riding through the
Throwing
dark.
my body down the
Yeah, Hannah was
down
like
the hills.
totally fine descending in the dark with no brakes, and I was just watch her lights a little bit ahead of me and kind of bounce where I thought she was bouncing and like, seemed fine. So yeah,
Wait a second. So your strategy was to let Hannah go first, and if you saw like her light go tumbling,
Sacrificial.
what was your
Yeah.
plan? You don't. I guess
take
you
the other line.
take the other line.
That's true. That's true.
Oh.
Yeah, I wouldn't have left you there though in the ditch or something. I wouldn't have been like,
Well, of course not.
bad line.
But was this like more up in like the northern section, like Davy Crocker, where it was like really hilly, or just throughout the whole thing?
No, this was on our
Anytime.
last day, I think.
Because
It
we got
was-
up before the sun did.
Yeah, we're up by 4.
Where'd y'all camp?
Ratcliffe.
Under the bathhouse at
I knew
Ratcliffe.
that. I
Yeah.
remember seeing y'all's out there. I think that's a really good. I like doing the 120 to Ratcliffe, or the. I
Uh-huh.
think that's a pretty good. I don't know. Y'all actually rode it, but it seems like it's a good mileage.
Yeah, that was it put us at about 150 miles that day.
Mhm,
I think-
from Salmon Lake. Yeah.
Yeah, from Salmon Lake. And
So
yeah.
it leaves you like 110.
Yeah, 110, 120 for the last day.
Yeah.
I think we had a 120 for the last day. It was that because that puts you at 280, mile 280, Ratcliffe.
There you go.
Radcliffe.
Radcliffe.
Rad. But yeah, that was another good
Y'all
spot.
slept at the wash house?
Yes.
the bathroom?
We slept in the bathroom. It just seemed
In a
like
stall?
we could have.
Well, it was a large structure, and it had like the men's and women's, and there was an like covered area between them. And we rolled in at night, and we ran into a couple people who were coming to the bathroom, and we thought it said bathhouse. It just had toilets. And the people who I ran into when we showed up, they were like, oh yeah, we're camping further in, and all of the other bathrooms and showers and everything are closed. So that's Alicia and I were kind of like, well, we don't need to go any further than this if if there's a covered spot to sleep. We'll just be the welcome crew for everybody that's got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. How did y'all just sleep on pads like right outside the door?
Yep, pretty much.
Basically.
How'd that go?
One on
I
either
love hearing
side.
about the creative ways people find to sleep, because you get so tired. You're like, I would not normally sleep
Oh,
there, but
we didn't care.
on
at
day
all.
2, when
Yeah.
you're like tired, you're like, you know what?
And we just let people
Right.
walk right by us, and you can hear the toilets flushing and the lights are on, but we didn't mind.
Yeah. at that point? You sleep
Yeah,
through
it worked
everything.
okay. I think, what was the logic? I think the main thing was find a covered spot because
Right,
we were
just
so
in case.
traumatized by that first day rain that we were like, we're going to
Not
stay
dealing with
dry at
Yeah.
the very least.
Well, and then we roll up and there's a laminated sign that says "Watch out for alligators," which I was like, "What?
Yeah, I
In
don't-
East Texas."
I didn't know we had them not this far up away
Yeah.
from the coast. I didn't think we had them this far up, but I guess
That was kind of cool.
kind of.
A bunch of people on the route, like locals, would warn us about Sasquatches.
Really?
Yeah, that was a reoccurring comment. You know,
Yeah.
early in the morning, we're going down gravel road, still dark out. And some guy leans out of his truck and he's like, "Watch out for the Sasquatches."
Now, were they being serious, you think?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
It did make me wonder, or at least look at the woods a little differently. I was like,
I've ridden with people that are legit scared of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Like legit.
Oh, yeah?
And yeah. And I've also been out at Sam Houston National Forest and encountered a Bigfoot hunter.
wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
my.
he had the full like military gear on with like all this recording and surveillance.
kidding
No,
me.
no.
I'm scared of
lived
that.
Yeah,
He
a little
lived with
bit.
his mom still and everything. Yeah,
Oh,
like
yeah.
it was he had all these recordings that he was letting me listen to.
You
But
wonder who he's tracking. Like,
Yeah, who does
Something
he
that goes
think
like this.
Bigfoot is?
I don't know, it made some weird noise.
I think it might
But
be Patrick. You might be.
yeah, it's me sleeping. I do make some weird noise out there in the woods. You never know. That primal instinct comes out.
Yeah, Alicia caught me sleep talking.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah, I
what
talk
did she
in my
say?
sleep.
couldn't tell.
Couldn't-
So maybe it was her plans for the next day to drop me. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be funny. I've always been afraid, like if you're like in a relationship and you sleep talk, you know, and like you
I
say
know.
something you
Mhm.
don't want to, you know. Have you ever done that?
Mine is usually pretty indecipherable. Like whenever I'm actually talking, but people will have conversations with me sometimes too.
Yeah.
So I haven't ever said anything I didn't want to, but I try to.
You're
know.
discreet even in your dreams.
Yeah,
huh?
exactly.
Yeah, I have a little bit of that where I interact with people in my sleep. Well, not people. Right now, it's Sarah. There's not multiple.
not. As far as Sarah knows, no.
As far as Sarah knows, edit that out too, Ben. No, but she'll like. I guess not too long ago, I'm a very active sleeper, and I'm a very hard sleep man. When I'm asleep, and so she just has to like push me and stuff, which is fine. I'm like, just kick me, whatever you got to do, and she'll get so mad. It's kind of funny. We like joke about it, but she's like, "You're being a jerk," and like apparently in my sleep, I was like, and then she went and slept
Like,
on
are
the
you
couch.
mocking
Oh,
me?
she's pissed at sleepy you.
She was fine next time.
That's
or
so
in the
funny.
morning. We were laughing about it, but like,
Yeah.
you know, when you're tired and you're cranky.
Yeah.
Like I was being an asshole in my
Oh, for
sleep.
sure.
Anyway, good times.
Does that mean you sleep well when you're out camping
Yeah.
or bikepacking? Oh, that's great.
I sleep so good. I'm such a good
That's amazing.
sleeper. Yeah. Not so much on your.
No, I'm a light sleeper. I was awake I felt like I was able to rest, but not sleep. So just like rest my muscles, but I was not asleep.
What
okay.
was a contributing factor, do you think?
I don't know. It's just new environment. And I was excited. It was a lot of like, don't check the tracker. Do not check the tracker. Because I knew that I was curious where people were. And like the second night, Kyle, our friend, he's like, well, I'm going to go out and do another 50. And I was like, did he make it? Is he out there? You know, where are other friends? What's
Is he
going
still
on?
Moving?
Yeah.
Well,
So I
I'm-
was just wired.
Yeah. I get that. Did you not check the tracker? Or why? It might have satisfied your curiosity, you know?
Totally. I think I just thought I should be disengaging, at least for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like try and get my mind on other things because I'll have all day tomorrow to do that.
Well, that's a good point. Like when you're
Yeah.
trying to sleep, you're like,
Mhm.
yeah, you're telling your brain, you're like, brain, tomorrow,
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
When you're out there and we're like talking about like when we sent you that text at the last rest stop in Cold Spring, and I said this next 32 miles better be the prettiest gravel I've ever seen, and we like texted you that, and you said it's called the death loop, you know, and we were talking about like, oh God, what is it gonna be like? This is
Yeah,
the end,
we thought
you
it was
know?
going to be absolutely terrible.
Yeah, and
Based
then I
on
was
the
like,
descriptor.
you think about it, and it's like it's gonna be whatever it is. and you're just gonna do
It
it.
wasn't that bad.
No, it
It's
was
a death
great.
loop because you have to like
Go
ride
by.
past everybody.
Totally.
There was some grumbling about that. It was it was necessitated by a reroute that I had to do anyway, and so originally the route didn't do that, but then I was like, fuck it, it'll be kind of interesting. We'll see how it goes.
Ahead of time, we were like, okay, so we can't stop in point blank. We're going to pretend it's not a town, and we're just going to go straight past it. And,
Smart.
Yeah, and we did that.
Were y'all expecting that many people to be out there like cheering and stuff?
Yes.
No,
Oh, yeah?
I'm just kidding. I just knew that Nick had finished, and I was like,
So you knew
He'll
that
probably
there
be
was
there.
be someone out there.
well, and then we were rolling up, and we see you with your
Bullhorn.
bullhorn, yeah. And I was like,
That was great.
and I said, I would stop, but I can't because I have no brakes.
I got that on video actually.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I posted on Instagram, but
Oh, it's great.
I don't think I tagged you because I didn't know your Instagram or whatever. I didn't do a very good job updating the race. I wanted to report it live better. I wanted to like tell the story as it was happening.
Right.
It was way too hard to do. There was
Yeah.
way too
Well,
much
spread
going
out
on.
and,
That
yeah.
seems like a particular job apart from being race director.
Yes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think exactly. I think that's exactly what I'm going to do is more photographers, different locations. I don't think we had like a lot of people volunteer after this race
Cool.
and then have
good.
someone that all they do is social media, whether it's me or
Uh-huh.
somebody else, but like that's all they do, you know?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Did y'all get messages and stuff? Did you have your phones on? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was the lucky one who I ziplocked my phone, which I never do.
Right. That's
In
smart.
anticipation of the rain. So I had a phone that worked, and and I had an awesome some kind of solar battery, so I was set, and so I could get messages throughout the whole race, and that was great.
Yeah.
You'd get a message from people one after the other, kind of saying you're doing great, or like, cool, you just passed that town. I was there in the '90s, or like something random, and you're like looking around, like, how do they
Yeah.
know where I am? But it felt very kind of Truman Show in a way.
Yeah. Interesting.
People watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like that?
I loved that.
Okay, cool.
I think it pushed harder, made us push.
Right.
Nick
When you
told
know
me he made
people
him
are-
push a little harder
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
It does for me when you know
Uh-huh.
people are watching.
Yeah.
It definitely and people are invested. I mean, if people are like awake at 2 a.m. and I'll message
Yeah.
people. I'm like, hey, I'm with you here. I might be drinking a whiskey on the couch, but
Yeah.
I'm rooting for
That's
you. You
how
know,
it, yeah, that's how
Yeah.
it
It's their
felt.
way of participating too.
We-
Yeah.
you know, because we had so many first timers on this one. A lot of people weren't familiar with the tracking system and all that, and it was a little surprising. Maybe y'all didn't know that you were going to have to be tracked and all that too, but it's primarily a safety feature. So I know where
Right.
everybody is, and I know that if you need to, you can push a button. But I've always enjoyed the dot watching aspect where you get people messaging you and they're like invested in what you're doing. It's always been a neat experience for me. And I've had a lot of people after this race express the same thing. Like, I had no idea anybody was going to watch. Like Nick was one of them that was like,
Yeah.
I did not think anybody was going to be watching, but all of a sudden I'm like getting messages and like when you're in the middle of nowhere and everything is kind of hard and like, you know, that people are out there like watching you and rooting for you, you're like, okay, cool. I don't, it matters. It like really makes a difference.
I would agree with that. And then coming back to town and hearing how many people were just refreshing their browser over and over again. It's like, really?
As soon as I wake
Wow.
up, I was checking where you were, you know? Yeah, for me, it was like, people know I'm alive. So,
What was y'all's favorite part of the route?
You know, the second day was that's hard, actually. I thought the first day, even in the rain, there were some really beautiful parts. I think there was some abandoned mill or something.
It's an old community center.
That's
It's
what
on the
that is.
corner
Yep.
with
In
all the
that
sand.
super muddy section, yeah.
That
was great.
I would like to see if we could get that opened up
Oh, that'd be
so people.
cool.
It's
Spectators
too early
could
to
hang out there.
yes, it's too early to camp. But like if we could get that, I don't know if people could like check it out or something. But it's an old community center that they've like built onto. They've rehabbed it and all. It's really neat.
It was super neat. I felt like I was in another country at that point. I'm like, how old is this building? Like
18
years old?
yeah,
it is.
18 something. I took a picture.
Yeah.
It's 1850 something, I believe. But yeah, it's wild because you're just like at this point you're probably pushing your bike.
Yeah.
And you come around that corner and you're like, what kind of medieval fucking
Totally.
castle is
That's
this?
exactly how it felt.
You're
I
like
was
Hogwarts? Harry Potter? What the fuck? It's too early for hallucinations.
yeah.
But the second day also had some beautiful, the rolling hills and seeing the green hills and the lakes were also super pretty.
That section along the lake that you kind of go in and out where all the like lake houses are and everything, and you get to see it.
I like that section.
That was fantastic.
That little neighborhood I routed through intentionally just because it's kind of quirky and unique. And if you ride through it during the day, even at night, I bet it's fun because those roads are kind of narrow and crazy.
Yeah.
But there's some $1 million houses and some shacks, and I enjoy like riding through, a swath of land and like seeing how different people live, and you're like, wow, you're really like putting a piece of the puzzle together in a way that you couldn't do if you just like, I don't know, drove through it. I feel like,
or took a main road or something.
Definitely take a main road. What was your favorite part?
That section through the lake was beautiful. I will say, along the Death Loop, there was this one like spot that you go by, this big, beautiful home that like the entire lawn is, I say lawn, it was like a giant pasture, and they had I don't remember the breed of cow, but Maxwell noticed them too, and he stopped and took photos of them as well. But they had like 4 different kinds of cows, and there were dogs running around, and it was like the afternoon sun, and it was so pretty. Like had a lot of moments like that where it's like, man, there are people who just live out here and just do this thing. And we were talking about like, where does all this money come from? Like, how do you, and it's like, it seems like an inherited place that maybe has been there for a very long time.
I think, I talked about this on the podcast, but I think oil is a big one, and cattle. There's a lot of money to be made in cattle. I think that's probably 2 of the bigger, but we're talking a lot of money. Like I have more of a business acquaintance and a friend. She comes from a family with a lot of money. And what her dad does is sells semen from her bulls. Like their bulls are so good that everybody around the world wants their semen from all these bulls.
Dang,
right?
And that's a real stud.
That's a real stud. But these people, they are like uber duper super crazy rich, and I'm like, how much fucking money is in bull semen? Like,
apparently,
a lot. We know there's a lot in oil,
Right.
So I think that's where a lot of it came from, but. Yeah, you don't see them out there working the land as much, No. Now it's just fenced off land. I think I know. Is it the one with the big red barn?
I think maybe. It's like you come around the corner and then there's like one last pretty substantial
I know
hill.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
Because I think I was
at the very end.
That,
yeah. It's like, the hills, again, I was surprised by the elevation. There was actually a lot. This was a steep climb that you had to go up, and there's hills like on the hilltop off in the distance. Houses on the hilltop. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. I often wonder where they got all that money, but that's my guess. Yeah, there's some big, you see like these huge properties, and then you see like little shacks, and they're all just living out there.
Right. One thing Hannah mentioned this earlier of wanting to have more time to kind of take everything in, and maybe doing the slowdown next time, talking to people who live there. I had a lot of fun doing that, but I also only had like 5 minutes to do it. And everyone did want to talk to us. They all wanted to tell us about their experience biking, just ask us about where we were going, and then give us tips on how to get there. We're like, well, we got a route, but like they're like, Grofton, that's only 12 miles away. We're like, well, we can't go that
this way down this road and then turn here and then go
No, we're going the scenic route.
Yeah. But people were so nice. It would have been cool to talk to more folks in the area.
This comes up a lot on the podcast, but I've talked about wanting to just like ride and like do a podcast talking to those people.
Oh,
especially
cool.
I think it would be cool to do it because I think the first one was a success. Everybody was happy with the first showdown and slowdown. So we'll just get it better and better, but I'd love to go and talk to the lady at Salmon Lake and maybe the park rangers out at Mission Tejas or whatever, and like talk to people. Oh, the lady at Van's Grocery. I don't know if y'all stopped at Van's Grocery.
Yes, we did. Yes.
Van's is awesome, but like just go and like talk to those people and see. We're all very curious about how they live. Like we were just talking about this on the last one I recorded like an hour ago, but about it like, how do they live? What do they do for fun? What do they do for work?
Yep.
It seems like life is just a very slower pace. And,
totally.
and I'm curious, like, are you happy? It seems kind of nice. Maybe it's just nice. Like, everybody and you know what you're going to do every single day. And I don't know. Maybe that's nice.
And it's also, I wonder what they think about us. This is a
Yes.
landscape they're so familiar with.
Yes.
They knew all the roads we were on.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I know where you're going. Yeah. And they could even tell me like, it's really bumpy or watch out for, crazy potholes. So they know the roads, but they would never, or they hadn't considered doing this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder what they thought about us.
That's
doing
the
it.
other part
Yeah.
of it is I want, because I think that would be the interesting part because we're all curious about that lifestyle. And I'm sure they're equally as curious about like, why are they riding their bike 380 miles? I got that with Chris, at the Bullet Grill is like, we saw those guys, like we had all these rednecks that were like falling dots and they're coming over to me and they're like looking at splits and all this stuff. I mean, they were all like actively
Oh, that's
engaged in
great.
this.
Aw.
And I mean, it just feels, I'm tingly, like
Yeah.
bringing all these communities together and like just positive will between everybody.
Mhm.
Then those big rednecks or the big trucks, maybe they'll be like, give us a little more room next time.
Maybe
know?
they'll throw out Gatorades.
Maybe we'll
next
throw,
time.
maybe even
You're
Gatorade.
gonna honk at me. At least throw me a Gatorade.
Throw
damn
some
it.
water bottles out the window at us.
Please,
That
I'll
would be
buy me
nice.
dinner. Did y'all have any issues with any people along the route? Any
Nothing that stuck
Any
out to me that I
sketch?
can think of. There was
Nothing
one
weird.
section along a highway that I was like, oh man, I'm climbing a hill and there's not a shoulder, and I think that was on the way into Jacksonville, I want to say. But I didn't have any like directly aggressive people.
Yeah, it was fine. It was maybe
Yeah.
one truck with teenagers. That was it.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty good. There's always one truck
Classic.
with teenagers.
Yep.
Yeah.
What
Keep giving 'em
about
trucks.
what?
I said we just keep giving them trucks.
Yeah, you have to. Well, maybe like no driving until you're 25.
Yeah, maybe. That
Yeah,
sounds
maybe
great
only
to
a
me.
bike until you're 25.
Wow, I-
Yeah.
I'll even give you an electric scooter. I don't even care. Just not a
My
car.
car.
I mean, you mentioned the shoulder. The number one priority for me was safety. That was the biggest priority. And so I did everything. I even rerouted around dogs that I knew were aggressive. I mean, I went out of my way to
Wow.
make sure that's why it took 14 months. Because I wanted everybody to have, most importantly, a safe experience where you could like go and enjoy the ride.
Right.
I'm hoping that you didn't have too many shoulders like that.
No, it was just one section, and I think mostly because it was climbing that it was like I'm going really slowly on this highway right now, and I'm used to being on pretty big roads, so I was okay with it. But I could see where, especially just with how slowly you got to go to get up the hill with a 1-lane road without a shoulder. But that was the only section, and I think it's also that's like mile 260 or something when you're up there going toward Jacksonville, so you're also just like, damn it, cars keep going by me.
Yeah. I tried to keep it away from major city centers as much as possible too. That's
Right.
why it's mostly small towns, with Jacksonville being kind of like the only
biggest
major
one.
supply hub on the entire. And it's intentional because after that, you got a pretty big haul down through the national forest, which y'all know because y'all just did it like bosses,
Right.
like ultra endurance athletes that you
Woo.
are.
Yeah, I thought the route, I remember thinking I really wanted to tell you how much I liked the route. And that's after doing a bunch of races in Central Texas and just routes around here where the cars are more aggressive and you have less space.
Yeah.
So I thought it was great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
Trying to think of any other spots. No. Yeah, it was pretty lower traffic than what
Yeah.
I'm used to. So
Yeah, that's really good. The nice thing about that area of Texas is the further you go north, you're just getting further and further away from people. And then you
Yeah.
come, it's all Houston. Actually,
Yeah.
where we started
Yeah.
is still a Houston overflow.
so
It
wild.
just gets out
Houston
there so far.
suburbs are ridiculous.
Yeah, because it's like Houston, the Woodlands, Conroe, Willis, and then it's the Bullet Grill. It's like
Wow.
it's all there. And so, all right, what would you do differently, if anything? Well, better question. Will y'all both do it again?
Wow. Yeah. I don't know.
We
Yeah.
had that moment,
Flyle's
where
coming next
you're
year.
riding, and we look at each other. We're like, we don't really feel the need to do this ever again,
Like this is like a bucket list thing, right?
Yeah. But at the same time, also, I think, like I said about slow down, like having a little bit more time, just because you don't have as much mileage. Because now we've done it. Now I
Yeah.
can be like, oh, I did that.
You got first. You got the record.
Yeah.
Like y'all could just sit back and like see what all y'all could do.
Yeah. figure that out. Yeah. And so now that I've done it, I'm like, I would like to do something like a slowdown or like what we were talking about. Now that we have been out there, it's cool that we can like take friends out there and go do a couple overnighters or something. But yeah.
I want to in the future, and I want to do it this year, but we didn't have enough time and just too much stuff going on, but find a way to make it more fun and interactive for people on the slowdown, whether like you're a photographer. I think it would be really cool if like, a prize for the coolest picture from a rider, not from like a photographer on route, but actually like if you want to take your camera and because I love like photography and bikes to me is like peanut butter and jelly. Like I just almost inseparable. I mean, maybe best I'm open to ideas if y'all have, but like ways like you do the slowdown, but there's still like fun and cool prizes that have nothing to do with like going fast.
Yeah.
That's where my mind is
Sandals.
thinking, huh?
Yeah.
Do it in sandals.
Like
Hey,
wildest
you got that
setup
on- yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Or like some people, I know there was a big variance in sleeping gear. Some people went like, I didn't even bring a sleeping pad. I just slept in my clothes. That's it. Stuff like that. Or versus having a tent and a setup.
Yeah, totally.
What about you, Alicia? Would you do it again?
Now that we're sitting here dry, I've slept a couple nights for 8 hours or more. I think I'd do it again. And I think I know, and now I know all the things I'd do differently. When we ended, I would give it like 12 hours later. I was feeling kind of down because all that excitement had subsided.
Oh, okay.
And I was kind of like, so now what do I sign up for? I was already like, I'd like to sign up for something else.
Yeah.
And do something else.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to do it again in March.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's soon.
March.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just saying.
Okay. Yeah, maybe
Everybody, there was a lot of interest. It was already on my radar underground that I was already like, okay, if this goes well. But I got a lot of people that were like, let's do it again in the spring. Let's do it again in the spring.
Cool.
And it makes more sense also, especially if you're in Texas from a training perspective, because you don't have to train during the summer. You could train through
That's
the winter and
true.
like come with a little bit more
Yep.
fitness, because that's something you
Train
don't.
it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, train. You could train if you wanted to, or you don't need to. Whatever you want to do. What are y'all doing today?
It's Thursday. I'm gonna go to my trails ride.
And I'm going to the crit series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do driveway.
Driveway.
The driveway.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's tonight.
Yeah.
What time does that kick off?
Starts around, I think 5 something, maybe even earlier now. My race is usually at 5:30.
Okay, I'll be gone by then. I've been to one of them for a little bit to watch it.
It's a fun time. Like a lot of people drinking beers and hanging out.
How well do you think you're gonna do?
Oh, tonight?
Yeah.
Well, so that's the thing. I wasn't actually going to race today. Yeah, I was just going to go and spectate. But let's see, hypothetically, after this, I feel like we've gained some fitness, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how that translates, especially I feel like the mental toughness,
Oh, yeah. That
of
for
being
sure.
like tired, things are hard. You're like, I feel like I've been farther than this before.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? It opens up that window.
Or pedaled through the rain. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, man, it's nice outside. My tires are
Yep.
dry. I got brakes. I mean, come on.
Well, I'm heading out to do at least part of the Monumental Loop in a couple weeks.
Oh, good.
For that thing. So we'll see. So I was thinking while I was on this route this past weekend, like, okay, at least I know I'll be ready to do some solo miles in the desert and like packed up and have all my
Are you
gear
doing?
situated.
Are you doing the Danger Bird?
Mhm.
Oh, cool. I'm gonna be there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
When are you getting in there?
I don't know. I know the summit's on Thursday, so a
Yeah.
little ahead of time. I'll be in El Paso anyways for work stuff, so maybe earlier in the week.
That's exciting. Have
Yeah.
you done any of the Monumental Loop before?
I did. Let's see. I've done part of the Monumental Loop and kind of combined it with part of the Roadrunner, the New Mexico Roadrunner.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many days that was. 4. I've done like 4 days of
That's a
that
pretty
part
area.
of yeah, it's great.
It's
But
very
Last
deserty.
time I did it on my gravel bike, which was a mistake.
Yeah.
So this time I'm going out on a mountain bike and it should be better.
What size tire are you thinking?
I have 2.1s on there. I'll probably leave it.
Yeah, I have 2.2s. I don't know if I'll be able to ride because they hired me to work the event,
Oh,
so
cool.
I'm kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I have 2.2s, and I asked him what he thought about that. He was like, I wouldn't go any lower.
Yeah. He told us 2.3s back when I did it the first time. I was like, how's a gravel bike? He's like, if you want to.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, you can do it, but people were asking me the same thing about the East Texas Showdown. I'm like, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
It's going to be good in some areas, bad in others. Like, what do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of up to the rider to choose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Find out at your own
Well,
risk.
that'll be exciting. I'm excited to see you up there.
Mhm.
What's next for you, Hannah? Go back to the bike
man.
shop and wrench on some bikes.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I'll be working. I took a couple days off, so I'll be working several days in a row. But next week is Marfa 100, so be headed out to West Texas.
Is that a gravel grinder then?
It's a road ride. I actually am not officially signed up for it, but I've got I
think it's a race, Hannah.
Yeah, it's a race. It's a race. Yeah, another race. What can I say? No. But
Is that another friend that sucked you in?
Yes. Yeah.
Hannah's
Pretty.
just like, she does whatever friends ask her to do.
Yeah, really.
And
I
then
don't
she
make my
kills
own
it.
plans.
You want to go 4,000 miles? Sure, I'll go.
Yeah, just tell me where to show up and win.
The 4,000 miles, that was your idea, right? Or did that come from a friend too?
That was my idea. That was it actually kind of brought me to Austin because I was in Dallas and I was going to go somewhere for school. And when I figured out that was an option in Austin, I was like, well, guess I'm going to go to UT, go ride my bike to Alaska.
Why not?
Why not?
Did someone fly you back?
No, well,
Or
so
drive
you've
you
got
back,
options.
or-
Yeah, so we had support vans that we had with us. So they needed somebody to drive them back. So I actually volunteered to drive them back, and that was one of the reasons why I was so confident driving back from Showdown, was just because I had done it a lot. Because it was me and two other guys that drove a van back from Alaska, and we had I think it was 5 or 6 days to do it, and it's a haul getting back. And so we would drive through the night and then stop in national parks during the day.
That's cool.
Yeah, so we got to see a lot of cool stuff. Jasper and Banff and Glacier and Grand Tetons and
Dang.
Yellowstone. Yeah, it was great. It was a good way to do it, but it was also, drive safe, everyone.
You seem like me. I can drive forever without getting tired. I've driven to Utah specifically. I've driven there and back. It's 24 hours with no sleep at least 10 times that I know of.
Wow.
I can
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, I know my limits
can just
for sure.
I can
but
just.
yeah.
That's the only probably advantage I have is an endurance anything. It's I just
Endurance
can.
driving.
I
Well,
can.
does that translate to pedaling?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can pedal at 6 miles an hour.
Yes, forever,
All night.
forever.
That's great.
Yeah, that's why I'm pro slow.
Yeah.
I don't have any other advantage other than I don't really get tired and I
Uh-huh.
can just go.
I was trying to calculate that in my head. I'm like, even if I go 6 miles an hour all night, would that be worth it?
Yeah, or go 10 miles an hour tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably a better way.
Right.
Well, congratulations, lady. Lady.
Lady.
Lady.
Collective lady.
The collective lady sitting in front of me. No, congratulations for real. I was just excited and proud and happy for everybody that came, no matter how they placed. Nobody had any major issues. Everybody figured their shit out. Everybody, there was no major issues. It went off pretty easy. So, but I was definitely rooting for y'all and was stoked to see y'all knock out the entire thing because I knew that it was both your first events, so a lot of unknown.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a few people that were when I got back, they hadn't seen the tracker or something. They were like, so did you finish? And I was like, fuck yeah, we
Listen,
finished.
motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. We're
Finished
Here's the
first.
bikepacking.com
Excuse me.
article.
Yeah.
of course we finished.
Yeah.
No, that was never a question. We were
No.
always
Yeah.
going to finish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I didn't have worries about anyone. No one really gave me a reason to be concerned. Everybody kept trudging along and everything. But
Uh-huh.
I don't know you at all. I've known you a little bit and follow along with some, and I know you seem competitive and you ride your bike a lot and y'all work together. I'm like, it's got to be pretty good.
Yeah,
No problem.
it worked out pretty great.
Yeah. It, like you said, it really just becomes a mental thing. It's
Right.
not how many watts can you push out in 30 minutes. It's just okay, how tough am I?
I was thinking about that. I know so many racers and folks who do competitive, national races across the country who would not want to do this.
Yeah.
The mental part of
Yeah.
just sticking with it day in and day out. So It's a whole other game.
To me, therein lies the excitement, the fun part about it, because it's a place that you will not find yourself in very often, where you have to really rely on yourself, and like, okay, I'm 200 miles away from my car. Like, how do I get back? My brakes don't work. My cell phone doesn't work. I mean, you just, you don't put yourself in those situations very often. And, there's some safety nets there. You got a SOS button, you got some people on the route. So like, I don't think it's like really you're in any ever like grave danger or anything, but you put yourself in unfamiliar and
you have to be resourceful.
Yeah.
And creative
and okay with discomfort.
Yeah.
But it's cool because then you go do it and you're like, oh, these are my people. Like these people are down to do the hard thing.
I love the group that came, and I mean, I'll said it a million times, but bike packers, people that do this kind of stuff are just a special breed of people, I think. Cyclists in general. All of y'all are great. All the cyclists. Bikes or death.
Woo. Woo.
All right. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Woo. In unison.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I appreciate Alicia and Hannah coming on and sharing their story. I hope that we will see them back at the East Texas Showdown. Maybe they'll do the slowdown. We've got some fun ideas coming for the showdown specifically. We're going to try to open it up and make that specific route more about the community over the competition. I took that away from the New Mexico Bikepacking Summit. That was a tagline that Matt Mason was using, community over competition. And I really like that. And I think ultimately that really speaks to the ethos of the East Texas Showdown, because I really do want to prioritize the community, bringing the community together again after everybody's finished at the Bullet Grill. It's all about the community, but we can still have competition too, right? So the Showdown route, that's going to be for the people who want to lay down a fast time. And then the slow down route, we're just going to have it be fun. More details coming soon. Like I said, hit us up on Facebook or Instagram at East Texas Showdown. If you're interested in learning more about that, of course, you can also follow along at Bikes for Death. We'll make it easy for you to find all the details as soon as they are available. Next week's episode is with Shell Money. He is the owner and founder of Money Bikes, an awesome dude. And as Matt Mason says, to call him a frame builder or a bike builder is selling him short. He's more of an artist. If you haven't checked out his work, you can find him on Instagram at Money Bikes, or you could just check out my episode with him next week. We had a really cool chat after the New Mexico Bikepacking Summit. We just popped ourselves up on a park bench table under a tree, as I tend to do, and had a great chat. And then the night after that, I got a chance to camp with him and a group of other guys on the Monumental Loop and get to know him even a little bit better. So I'm super excited about that episode next week. But until then, if you appreciate this episode or any of the body of work that we do over here at Bikes for Death, please consider supporting the show, saying thank you, buying me a cup of coffee, any way you want to put it. But to support the show, you can find out how over at patreon.com/bikes or death. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. Now, don't forget, very important, do not forget to ride your damn bike.
You load up your bike, you ride away from home. You could be with your friends or you could be alone. You ride for a day or maybe more. You just love being in the great outdoors. Everything you need is strapped to your bars, including that new pillow you got from Santa Claus. And then you think, oh shit, to yourself. You left that super lightweight tent on the living room shelf. Bikes